Cool. Yo, people. Episode 5, I believe, of the AFC Wembley podcast. Someone who I regard as a little brother, a younger brother now, because he's getting bigger in size now anyway. But yeah, bro, someone that I got a lot of respect for. I've had the pleasure of seeing him grow from his late teens up until now. I remember a few years ago, we're talking a few years, about 10 years ago now, my dad started this community project called the Corner League. It was a football league by which various estates in the local area came together and played on a weekly basis. And then a few years after, I took over the league. But prior to me taking over, I remember my dad speaking to me and he was like, Dej, like, there's this youth, fam. I like him, you know. And I was like, why? And he's like, I don't know, like, there's just something about him, like, the way he just carries himself. He carries himself proper. And I was like, okay, all right. So fast forward now, and I've taken over the league now. Bearing in mind, I've got this perception of this, like my dad's opinion of this guy in my head. So all right, cool. Seeing the shoot now, I'm seeing how he's carrying on the pitch, and I'm seeing how he's bossing the pitch, and how he's instructing other men. And I'm like, raw. Then we get to have a little conversation after, and I'm like, okay, I checked for the shoot now. He probably won't remember this, but I remember this particular game. Because he was the captain of the centre half team. He must have, I don't know, they must have got bad up that game, and he was vexed after. And I remember I was walking, and he was like, T, I respect what you're doing, you know, but it's just not the same, fam. It's just not the same. And then after, we started talking about leadership and how being a player is different to leading the team and all that stuff. And then from then, fam, we've just built a relationship where I've seen him grow from strength to strength, become a leader outside of the pitch, in more ways than one. And it's a young man I'm very, very proud to just see grow in various aspects in life. We got the founder of Finishing Touch Coaching. We got Reano in the building. Well, go on, my brother.
Oh, my man, enough of that. You ain't got to big me up too much, you know.
Come on, nah, fam. I got a big you up, fam, because the growth it's important for man to acknowledge that, fam.
Nah, I appreciate that, man. Nothing, man. All good. Everything's good.
Yeah, how's life been for you recently, bro?
Everything's all right, you know. I've picked up, obviously, with the pandemic and whatnot. Coaching was slow, and then picked back up a bit. I've managed to get time to sort myself out and whatnot. So it was a bit of, it was needed in a way, you know, like to just reflect, go back, and obviously just strategically move different. 'Cause I think when everything's going on and whatnot, you sort of lose track. So I had to catch back up with family and just little small things like that are important to me, you know. So yeah, can't really complain, I'll be honest.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. We're going to go through a few things talking today. But I want to start with just, again, I like to give people a little bit of history about who you are and where you're growing up and stuff. You're very similar to me in many ways in terms of when I was your age and younger, in terms of people just knowing you as the football kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell me a bit about your experiences, because it's, even though we're not far in age, it's a good few years in between us, but your experiences growing up in Northwest is going to be different to mine just because we're from different generations.
Yeah.
So what was your experiences like growing up in Northwest? Where are you from, and what was your experiences like?
First and foremost, name's Reano, St. Raf's Estate. I'd say we start from young. Football for me was everything. I had an older brother that more or less had to bring me football. You know, like mum's doing this, like, take a look around area. So I just got in love with football from there. I think I was just going everywhere playing football with him. Even if I was just on the side, I was on the side with a football. So I just fell in love with football from young. And then I don't know or don't remember specifically how I got into AFC Wembley, but I got into it. It went AFC Wembley back then. It was Wembley FC, Sudbury. Yeah, so it was Wembley FC before it was AFC Wembley, of course. But playing for Wembley FC, obviously week in, week out playing, and then turned into AFC Wembley, obviously made the transition. And I think I've probably been in there. I think my first AFC Wembley shirt, I think I've still got my house, number 7.
You're one of them ones that don't give it back.
You see, if I get I'm going to show you the shirt. I've got my shirt. I never gave the shirt back. I don't know why. And I don't think they asked back for the shirt, but I've always kept the shirt. Yeah. It was my first ever kit, number 7. I remember the yellow and the green coming down the sleeves. I thought, like, number 7 was my number. I thought, this is me. So, played up the years. I think it got to... Will it get to? Was it under? Did it become? I think it became under 18s, and then it moved over to where we are now, over by Preston Road. So was playing, and then growing up those years, that's the influence of social media kicked in.
Just around that time.
So I'd say just before that, I'd say probably about 13, 14. So we had Facebook and we had MySpace and all of that. So I think it was a way of engaging with like other people or whatnot, chatting to gal on social media and all of that, just those little things. And then come to AFC Wembley. I think it broke off from that age, and I think it was going to like 21s and then first team, I believe. And that was kind of the age when I thought, like, I've got to make something like happen out of football.
So prior to that, because obviously you've grown up in an era that's just before social media.
Yeah.
What's your earliest memories in regards to like just what inspired you, apart from your brother, but like from a TV standpoint or just around you? Like, what was some of your early inspirations in football?
From early, so you mentioned obviously football, United fan. So obviously I was just watching football. That was a big part of me playing football. Ronaldo was doing his thing at that point, Rooney and so on. But I think in terms of AFC Wembley itself, I'd say that obviously we had Coach Rao. I think we had Coach Michael after. But your dad was always like in and around. So for me, he was like, if I be honest, and this ain't because we're on camera, I think like for me, he was like the first coach that I saw that was like cool. Like, it's cool to be a coach, or it's cool to not to say anyone else before that weren't cool, but he was just more than a coach, like a people's person, like a father in some ways. And I'd always because I think he'd done the year above, so I'd always want to train with his age after. He would always let me come in. I was small, it didn't matter, but he would always allow me to come in and train after. Cause I think we must have done like 10 till 12, and then it must have been like 12 till 1 or whatever. But his session would always be starting when mine was finishing. So I'd always want to play. That was just me. Even if I was tired, I'd come run to Trevor. I'd be like, Trevor, can I join? He'd be like, yeah, just go on. So I think he in his own way, and I don't think he even knew how much it was an impact to me. Yeah. But like I said, for me it was wanting to play football so much and so on. So with that being said, it was just me just going on through the years with football, literally just playing. Even if I was in St. Raph's playing, I was playing with my brother and his friends. So there was no, he's too big, or he's too, like, it was just me. I just wanted to play. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Eventually I'd get to grasses. I can't really go against him. Do you know what I mean? But for me, it was just running around and just kicking a ball. I
think you probably one of the last generations that I've seen of having a proper old soul in terms of knowing that you're halfway decent at minimum at football, but always wanted to play with older people and just trying to rough older man up and all that stuff. But we growing up where we grew up, we obviously use football as sometimes a form of escapism, because the reality that we face outside of football ain't great. What was life growing up like in Raths for you?
For me, I was so oblivious to the sort of gangs and this and that, because there wasn't really any dramas when I was growing up through the estate that I could remember. Do you know what I mean? So there's two sides to Raths. There was obviously up top where like IKEA is, and down the bottom where the shops are. So we were solely up top. So that was just us. We had a big field, and literally we were just playing football. And obviously, as you get older, you start to realise, all right, my estate not like that estate, this, that, and whatnot.
But why I ask you that is because as you get older, you become privy to the hood politics. Yeah. You were still going Pavilion in Stonebridge, 100%. Still going to Ark in Wembley and all that 100%. Stuff, or Ark in Wembley Park. Like, you were just still about, like, what was in your mindset to say, cool, I'm just a football guy? Like, what contributed to you carrying yourself the way that you carried yourself to say, like, that's going on over there, but I'm me and this is what I'm on?
I'd say it's sort of funny to say it, but I'd say the fact that I was good maybe gave a bly. So obviously, like, I was going to, you can imagine if you was dead at a board, it would be a different story. But where I think I believe and other people believe that I was good at ball, and I was a bit distinctive, like I was very small. So like it's like, I don't know if they would look at me and think, nah, like, don't trouble him. But I think I didn't carry any sort of vibes of, I'm from that estate, you can't trouble me, or I'll call him. There was nothing like that. For me, it was solely football. Like, when I started realizing that there was tension between two estates, I was already so deep in playing football in that other estate. Do you know what I mean? So it was nothing. It wasn't anything to me. Yeah, there was a couple of hiccups. People would ask, like, where you from, where, but I'd never deny it, because I'd never been, or never felt like I've been caught up to pick sides, or that, oh, now I'm at a point where I can't go back to that estate because they feel away. Like, I never really felt like that. It maybe crossed my mind, but I never really felt like it was time where I couldn't go back there. Because the moment they realize you ain't coming back, then they're gonna ask, why? Like, do you know what I mean? You're a football guy. Why you not? Do you know what I mean? So I was always in and out of like you say, Wembley, Stonebridge, St. Raph's, wherever. But it was mainly football for me. So,
what some of the morals that your brother, your mum, your household, your family taught you in just regards to just how to carry yourself when you get to a certain age where you start rolling by yourself? Like, what's some of the morals and stuff that you've kept with you to this day?
Honesty, being honest. I think slowly it's creeped in now, where I've completely, like, washed it out of me. Not honesty, but like to not belittle people, or to wherever it's because you're better at them at football and whatnot. And when I was younger, I used to let people know about themselves. 110%. And if you weren't good, or if you was on my team and you weren't good, or you weren't running, and these times I weren't the running, you know. You had to run even though I weren't running, because I was probably the one that was going to get the goal. Do you know what I mean? That was my mindset. So I think just in terms of mannerism, how you go about yourself, and whether it's an adult or someone younger than you or someone your age, just still giving that basic level of respect for them. What else can I say? Mum always told me be punctual. Always be on time. Always be on time, or be a bit early than most, because then you're showing. Do you know what I mean? You may not be ready, but you're showing you're there from early. Especially coaches, if you're a coach and you tell a player, all right, 9 o'clock meet, but you're there 8:45 or 8:40, you're showing your coach that, do you know what I mean? You mean business, or you're serious.
I think the reason why I asked that is because it was clear to me I met you from early on. These times you was 17, 18 years old, and I could tell that you had the respect of your peers. And for me, that wasn't on the football pitch. I see the game done and people still just gravitating towards you and your character. I know there's elements of when you're the good footballer, people naturally just gravitate towards you and your opinion and all that stuff anyway. But one thing I've always respected about you is just your integrity, fam. Your integrity and how you carry yourself, and you're on what you're on, regardless of what anybody else is on, which is something I've always admired. So we've skipped past a good few years, but in your early 20s, you started to experience some injuries, and then also obviously you had a huge setback for you in your aspirations of becoming pro. What's your mindset in the midst of going through the injury phase?
If I was honest, because at that time, that's when the coaching started.
Okay, let's go to before that then. I don't want to touch there yet.
Okay, so the injuries. So I got the injury in my knee, and it wasn't as serious as I thought it was when I first got it. So obviously I went to hospital. They told me to ice it. A few weeks, you should be back. So
how old was you when you got your first serious injury?
I think that's the first one I've had. Like, obviously, me as a winger, you get get clamped and whatnot. You get nibbled. So I've been trampled on steps, but that for me was the most serious injury I believe I've had.
Just for context, let them know how old you were at that time.
I was 22.
Yeah.
I think I was 22 when it happened. And the whole, not to put anyone to blame or not, but the whole process of For me, when I first got it, I thought like I was saying, the icing, it would be fine. Then I went to play again. No contact. You would have thought someone clamped me or something, but no, literally change of movement, knees popped out again. So then I realized it was a bit more serious, and just the whole process. When I first had the problem, it was end of February, start of March, and I didn't get surgery. That I didn't. So I got told from March till September. I think I didn't get told till September that I needed surgery. So between March and September, I was doing exactly what they asked me to do. So it was icing. Then when it popped out again, it was, you need physio. So I'd done the physio. Then it popped out again.
Did you have any issues at youth level with injury?
Did I have any? No, I wouldn't call them serious. Like for that knee injury that I had, cancels out anything happened before. Like I can't think of an injury that was as bad or as serious previously. I've had nibbles. I've been out for like a couple weeks, but I can't think of something that comes to my head as serious as the knee injury.
Okay.
I'm actually trying to think of injuries. I've never really been one. Even if I had an injury, you would never know. As a manager or coach, I just wanted to play. Do you know what I mean? And that's sort of what happened with the knee one as well. Obviously I got told that I had to wait a couple of weeks. I waited a couple of weeks, and then it popped out again. So my mindset was just completely gone from it.
Yeah.
So then got the surgery January 2010, and then the pandemic kicked in. So everyone had to furlough and sort of stuff.
2020, man said 2010.
2020, look, I'm all thinking behind. 2020, it kicked. 2020, I'd done the surgery. I was bedbound for like 3 weeks. Obviously, had my missus helping me. I had my mum, brother helping me. People come to check me and whatnot. And then people were getting told they had to work from home. That's when the first pandemic kicked in. So it's kind of like March, April. But these times I'm outside doing catch up because now I'm behind. Do you know what I mean? From March 2019 to like March 2020, obviously including the surgery from January. But for a year, I basically never played football. I wasn't playing football.
I know you was in a dark place at that time. But I think the comforting thing is at times is knowing that you ain't the first one that's gone through something like that, and you ain't going to be the last. It's how much ballers right now in their early to mid 20s that's going through the exact same issues. What was your mindset during that period in time, and how did you come out on the other side?
I say at times I doubted myself in terms of going back, but I think the doubts were easily taken away by just my self-belief, just going back and thinking about what I used to do to man and how I used to play and things like that. I've got clips on my phone or stuff that I used to do. Obviously, just going back through it, and I used to think like, I ain't done. This is unfinished business. You know what I mean? This is just a setback for me.
Where did that confidence in you come from? Because you've always known your own ability. Where did that come from? A lot of you struggle with self-esteem. You've never on the pitch anyway.
Nah, I think a lot of it comes from my early years, just people believing in me. I think it's come from people believing in me. Like my people used to go to my brother and tell my brother certain things. You know what I mean? Like my brother always knew, but he would never tell me so much. Cause you could get carried away, and I think I did get carried away, but it was more of me not working harder than I should have. It's like I felt like I had it already. Do you know what I mean? You're never finished. So I felt like I always knew I was good enough. So even if I was playing a year above, or even like the injuries, coming back from injury, I always knew that I'd be back to being at my best, if not better. And I think
I want to talk about that. Go off track a little bit and then go back on track. Your brother. Yeah. You've let me know from early that this is the guy. Like I'm here because of him.
100%.
In what ways has your brother inspired you, and how would you say that translates to how our older brother should be, especially coming from where we come from?
Yeah, so I put it out there from the get-go, he's replaced my dad. My dad divorced. My dad and my mum got divorced from early. I was probably about 4 or 5. So he automatically just, I don't even know if he done it on purpose, but he must have thought that I need to.
What's the age gap between you and your bro?
We are 8 years.
It's
8 years apart.
Similar to me and my brother are 9 years apart, and it became evident when I was about. No, do you know what? I'm not gonna say about from the beginning that you automatically look up to your older brother.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, where you come from. If you've got an older brother, you can have your dad around, you can have uncles, whoever, but older brother is the one that you aspire to be. Like, what type of things did he inspire you with from the early years? Because obviously, like you're saying, replacing or being the dad figure, but how did that look in your eyes?
He was in SETBACKS, he was probably the best.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, everyone would, oh, Chucky's here, forget it, like, sort of thing. He brought that sort of energy onto the pitch where it's like, I look at him and I'm thinking like, that's my brother.
Yeah.
Like, you look at him like he's some superhero. Like, that's my brother. Do you know what I mean? So I think he used to bring me out. It just used to be us two. We used to be practicing down at the cage, down at the bottom of refs. We used to just practice, play goal to goal. And then you'll say like, oh, you can only use 2 touch now. So he'd have me using different parts of my body to control the ball and whatnot. And slowly teaching you about, do you know what I mean? So I think the way people saw him helped. The way I saw him helped. And him being, like I'm saying, him being good. Because if he was dead at ball, I don't know what it would be, you know. I don't know.
Nobody wants to older brother that's back at football, like. Nobody wants that.
No one wants to older brother. Oh, your brother's dead at ball. Can you imagine? Nah, not my brother. But everyone knew my brother for being sick at ball. So I think.
What life lessons would you say that you could say that I credit this to my brother?
There's a lot. I'm trying to pick out the mains. I'd say work ethic, working hard. I think he always taught me, but like I said, when everyone was telling me I was like, you're next, like you're gonna be better than your brother or this, that, it kind of felt like I was already done. Okay. So people was obviously talking about me or talking to me and saying things that made me feel like I didn't need to work hard, but he always punched it into me like, use your left foot, use it. But I was so right-footed, right-footed. So I'd score a goal on my right foot, even though I should have shot on my left. Sorry, and I would say like, nah, but I scored, and he'd be like, nah, but you should have shot with your left. You know what I mean? Like I used to say, but nah, I can't shoot my left. And he'd say, nah, like that ain't the attitude, that ain't the energy to have. You need to practice. You need to practice. And we would go out on the field, Willow's pitch. Yeah. Tokenton would go out and he'd have me pass with my left. He'd have me pass with my right, and then he'd go, switch it now, left foot, 2 touch, left foot. And as we both got older, and obviously he went off to uni, I didn't really have that anymore. Do you know what I mean? So I was probably in my late teens, and then you had all the little things, social media, girls. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of died down, but when I think about it now and think about it as I get older, I always needed that.
What role does the older brother in general play in a kid's life, especially coming from our type of environment? What role do you think an older brother should play, and how should he go about it? Is it important to you? Do you think it's important?
100%. I think for one, it's supporting your little brother. Just being supportive of what he does, because not everyone wants to be a footballer. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So being supportive and being there to help regardless is one of the main things. It could be anything that your little brother or your little sibling wants to do, but having an older brother that's, you know what, yeah, you could do that, or I'll buy equipment for you or something like that to get you going, is for you and yourself. It's like, oh yeah, like I can make this happen. Like I'm getting help from probably the closest person to me or one of the closest people to me. So I think being supportive of whatever your younger sibling wants to do or feels like doing, in a positive way anyways, is one of the key elements for an older sibling.
All right, so we're going into an area in your life where you're just transitioning, you're trying to find out what next. Obviously you got your big injury and stuff, but at what age did you say coaching might be a thing?
College.
Yeah.
So part of the college course was to get our level ones, as long as well as playing football and so on and so forth. So I think.
What did you do, the BTEC thing?
Yeah. Done the level 3 diploma thing. So like even I'm saying even before that, even when I was saying to you like Trevor was the first, do you know what I mean? Cool coach. I call him the cool coach. Like he was always that guy outside of football. Like even I'd see him in Holzen after training, and he'd be like, make sure you get your work done at school. Make sure you're going home. Make sure, do you know what I mean? Don't lay around the street and whatnot. And I always took that in. And to come back to what you're saying about coaching, I think with Trevor, that was more as a person to evolve in terms of helping. I wouldn't say more coaching, but I think for that it was helping. So you could take that into wanting to become a coach or whatnot, but I always wanted to help. Do you know what I mean? If on a football stage, or coaching stage, I think when I got my level 1, I thought, like I could do coaching. And then I got opportunity to coach at Power League, because my brother was doing coaching, but he couldn't commit to all the days. So my brother said to the manager at the time at Power League, look, like my younger brother just got his level 1 and he could do with some experience with coaching. So that wasn't really a set team. It was like camp. Like kids would come in when they ain't got school and would run mini games and whatnot. So slowly the confidence was just building a bit from there. And then we were at where was we? Jason Roberts Foundation. Yeah. So we was there. I was there. We played I think they had an under 21s or under 23s league, the Hyde League, but it was under 21s, I believe. And slowly helping with Woolbert. Woolbert was our coach at the time. So slowly helping with him. It was like literally just small steps towards it. But I didn't realize it was more of a coaching thing. It was, for me, it was help. Yeah. It wasn't coach. Do you know what I mean? So it was help for me. And then got to speaking with Otis, and then Otis put me on level 2 course. And for him, I had to coach the under 14s and 16s of the Hyde League, but for Jason Roberts. So it was me and Timmy that was doing the coaching. And then from there, like I said, I think that was like the first setup I was in. I was actually like the coach, not helping. I was actually coaching now. So it was like, I'm looking at myself in these kids. You're 14, you're 16, you're in the same environment or similar environment to I was in when I was 14, 16. So loads of them are full of tricks. They're full of, do you know what I mean? They're the best shooter. They're the best. I got the outside the boot. No one else has got the outside of the boot.
I started coaching when I was about 17. About 16, 17.
Yeah, I was 16 as well.
Yeah, and I will never ever forget the first time I taught you had to do the Cruyff turn and seeing them pull it off and being mad gassed. That's probably one of the first times I'm like, nah, like, you can get paid all the dough in the world to do this thing. Like, there's some things that I just don't. You can't put a price on it.
Priceless.
You can't put a price on it. I'll never forget that youth's face when he pulled off the Cruyff turn. What some of the moments that made you realize, you know what, I can do this thing, you know?
I think when you're doing a demo to the kids and you're showing them and the kids are like, oh, what coach, you got it. You got a bit of tech. And obviously that's the 46-year-old, so they're not even far off me, but you know, like it feels like your bridges in a way, do you know what I mean? So when I was doing it, and I think I was doing a shooting drill as well, and I put the keeper in goal and was doing the drill, and then come to the finish and I dinked him and they were going crazy and I thought, nah, like,
that's instant influence.
Yeah, that's it. That's instant influence. Because then they were like, "Nah, coach, how'd you do that? How'd you do that?" And it was like, we'll get into that. Okay, I wanted to say like, I'm not gonna teach you this straight away, but we'll get into it. So they got involved. They got involved instantly. It was kind of like, like I got a coach that could do it, sort of thing. So I can. That's what it was. So even
I think. Sorry to cut you, bro. Sometimes people like we overestimate just how much of a difference it makes when you're a coach and you're actually good at football.
Yeah, 100%.
We see a lot of coaches that can talk a good game,
It?
but you got a belly and you're smoking a little
like
spliff
well.
off. Yeah, bro.
I'd be like, what
thinking,
coach, you do
yeah,
it? Like,
can you do this?
You're telling, and some of the things, it's not even the fact of you do it, but it's like they find it a problem. Not every coach, but some coaches find it a problem when they can't orally tell you how to do something.
That's right.
So some kids, for me, I was more of a visual learner.
Yeah.
And if I couldn't understand you when you're saying it to me, you'd have to show me.
Yeah.
So certain coaches, you couldn't show me. Do you know what I mean? So they would feel a bit like, nah, he's misunderstanding and he doesn't get it. But some kids just don't learn the best from that way. Or maybe you're showing them visually and they be like, no, like how are you saying it? Or in terms of what terms would you use when like turn out do you know what I mean? Back foot or whatnot. Do you know what I mean? I could give you something on a board, but when you go out on the pitch to do it, I'm not giving you the instructions. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like the drill won't work as well, or the player won't work as well. Yeah. So I think, like you're saying, being a coach that's able to adapt and whatnot is important as well.
So how was your Jason Roberts experience? It's a shout out to Jason Roberts Foundation, man, because they do a lot for the local community, especially within Stonebridge. What was the experience like for you working under Jason Roberts Foundation?
I learned a lot. I learned a lot. It was a good environment to learn from, like just little things. Facility was important.
Yeah, man.
The facilities is good. The goals is there. Like to go back to me when I was of that age, there was hardly any 4Gs like that.
For those of you who don't know, if anybody's listening out here that's not from the area, we've got an estate called Stonebridge, which obviously a lot of people may know for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But years ago, there's always been that AstroTurf in Stonebridge, but for the longest time it was sand based. If I stand up now and show you the scars that I've got on my legs from that Stonebridge pitch, and the day Football Foundation came in and resurfaced that pitch and made it 3G and then 4G, it was ram every single week. Different feelings. So you're saying facilities.
So the facilities itself was important. The equipment that was there. Like I said, shout out to Otis, the equipment.
Yeah.
The importance, like the little things, Otis would have them inside and proper like speak to them, like the importance of what's been put on for you lot to thrive, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So the boys understood being there and what it meant to be there. Do you know what I mean? So I think that in itself brought into training the intensity, the sort of players that were coming. So Bredgens were bringing their Bredgens. Do you know what I mean? Every week I'm seeing a new face. No, he's good. He plays centre mid. So I think for me, just engaging and that, like I was saying, being able to join in practice, do things, and they're learning off me, or they're asking me, why did you take that touch? Or I'm speaking to them and understanding them. It was such a good environment. Do you get what I mean? The kids that were there was no kids where it was like they felt like they were in the wrong place or the wrong estate, or do you know what I mean? Everything was just good. So I think it went on into training, just the things that we'd put on. There was really no worries. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Over the years, I've seen a lot of coaches. I've come across many coaches who've got the world of qualifications, but you put them in a particular environment we deemed as challenging, and they can't thrive because the FA qualification coaching qualifications, they don't teach you necessarily the practical element about how to deal with people. So you're currently on the verge of just completing your level 2, but that is no reflection on your football knowledge. How did you then upskill yourself outside of the formal setting of the FA course qualifications? How did you upskill yourself just with drills and ideas and how to implement certain things? Because you've obviously done that independently. Yeah. How did you go about that? I think
with me, I've always been, when it's training, I've always been training like team based. So it's never really challenged me as an individual. Like I said, I'll get away with doing the wrong touch sometimes, or I'd get away with certain things, but to develop a player on a person base and on the pitch as well, was never really something that was, I wouldn't say given to me, but it wasn't really something I come across, if that makes sense. So for me, when I'm coaching, it's about just little things, just engaging, talking, communication. On a technical base, how could you improve, or on a physical base, how could you improve? Like, drills have to more or less implement a few of those things, or sessions have to implement those things to help develop players. And I felt like
you was a visual learner. You are a visual learner.
More of a visual
learner. Were you a strong academic in school?
6A to C strong.
Oh, that's way more than I got.
I know I could have done better. So I wouldn't say, for me, it wasn't really as good as it could have been.
Right.
If that makes sense.
So is there any difference between studying to do an English Lit exam and preparing for your coaching session in terms of how you prep?
Not really.
No,
not really.
What's some of the keys? Like, what's part of your process?
So some of the similarities is kind of like knowing what you want in the end, or knowing what you're like, getting your point across, what you want them to learn from the end of the session. So in an English Lit, you would want to put down your point and then expand on it, or certain things. Do you know what I mean? So say for instance, coaching, we're working on shooting. We're working on shooting, different types of finishing skills.
Brilliant.
Why would you use that there, or why would you use that there? Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of
working from the back.
It's kind of similar in a way. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of just knowing what you want to put on in the session, or what you want to put on in a drill, what key focuses are we working on, and how can that help you on the pitch?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't really think it was much different. I feel like I've put more effort into doing, say, coaching than English Lit, because I have more of a love for coaching than English Lit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I really wanted to do English Lit, it would probably be the same thing. But where coaching, for me, it's so beneficial once the person I'm coaching understands where I'm coming from. Do you know what I mean? I get that joy from it. So you have to prepare and sort of let whoever you're coaching know why you're doing what they're doing, because for them it's understanding. You don't want to put in a session and all the boys are just running up there doing whatever, but they're not gaining nothing from the session. It's more or less a waste of an hour or two. Do you get what I mean? And you can't really develop that person or help develop that person if they don't understand why they're doing certain things and where they should be doing certain things. So
brilliant, bro, brilliant. One of the main reasons why I wanted us to have this conversation is to touch on the topic of having a plan B. So you've still got your aspirations to make it and play at a certain level, but you definitely haven't been ignorant or overlooked the fact that you might need to have a plan B in place. And then you took that energy and that idea and founded Finishing Touch Coaching in 2019. 2019, sorry.
2019, yeah.
Why?
So for me, I'm gonna talk on how it started, but for me, it comes down to helping people. So my years of playing, coaching, and watching other coaches do their thing, as an individual, I wasn't learning as much. I was learning more playing with my brother than learning in a coaching aspect. And that's no disrespect to any coach I've had in the past, but I may have been ahead, or actually no, not may have. I was probably ahead or one of the best in setups that I've been to, or teams that I've been to, but I was laid back because I knew it. You know, when you know you're one of the best, or nothing's really challenging you, you don't challenge yourself. Or that's for me anyways, at that age. So when I had the knee injury, obviously I've done all the coaching prior to the knee injury or whatnot. When I had the knee injury, I felt like I still had to engage in football. Even though I'm not playing, I still got to have some sort of part in football. And obviously coaching was the next thing for me. My brother, however, is a coach as well. Do you know what I mean? So I'm getting inspiration off him again.
Time.
Do you know what I mean?
Every
So
time.
he was playing, turned to coaching. I'm still playing. Obviously, coaching there was for me as well, and I've obviously watched him coach. He's given me, like, he's a people's person as well. So it's so, when you're a coach and you could be spoken to and kids engage with you, and you're more than just a coach, you're like a big friend or you're like a big buddy to them. It helps so much. Do you know what I mean? So fast forward now to finishing touch. I was currently injured at the time, and one of my friends wanted help for his season to start. So it was pre-season sort of thing. So I thought, you know what, like, I know some things. Let me help you. Like, and this is what I was saying to him. I was saying to him, tell me what you need help with. The end result. Tell me what you need, so I could build or plan for your end goal. So I was helping him, and he was like, you know what, you should keep this going, sort of thing. Like, put it out there, like, whoever needs help. And I was saying, like, nah, man, like, I'm not really on it. But these times it was kind of like I weren't confident as much. Or where I was confident with football, I never started confident with coaching. Do you know what I mean? So I was kind of like, nah, like, not really on it. Like, nah, like, bro, like, trust me, like, just plan some stuff in terms of, like, sessions, and just hit people up, see if people need help, or see if people need extra sessions. So
what's your brethren's name?
Huh?
What's your brethren's name?
What's my brethren?
Daryl. Large up, you need a shout out for that one.
Daryl. So when I got to going at home now, I thought, you know what, let me put some things together. So little draws, went on the internet, I even saw draws and tried to implement my way with it. I don't know every draw in the book.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I ain't full up with draws in here. So little draws, I was getting stuff, I was still coaching my friend, and then I thought, you know what, cool, I'll put it out there. So putting it out there, went on Snapchat, went on Twitter and whatnot, let people know, like, if you need extra work, like, come see me. So started picking up. I think I got to contact with about first, I say 6-7 people got to contact with me. I say, you know what, run a group session. So all 7 of you lot turn up. Willows, Salkington. Oh my God, sorry. We'll get some work done. Yeah. So this was what? June. Still got the video on my phone. Recorded it, everything. I brought the tripod. I brought bits, little ladders, hurdles, cones, just the basic things I brought, getting the session done. And then just the feedback I was getting from it was, like, overwhelming. I thought, like, surely I haven't done this good. But they were saying, like, yo, like, this is good. Like, I really worked, like, out of breath. For me, like, if you're not out of breath, you're not working hard enough.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? If you're not blowing, you're not working hard enough. That's me in it. So I started up the coaching now. Went and done the logo. Went and got the Instagram. Went and done everything. So I'd really put it out there, and I got blessings because I got good people that was pushing it out there. Do you know what I mean? So it was getting pushed, and then just bit by bit, people were coming to me to do the coaching now. So it started off with that group session, started off with the one-to-one with my friend. Got the group session, so I was putting out there, if it's one-to-ones or group session, come find me. So gradually just built from that. Literally just, I done one of my friends who was slowly coming back, rehab, so slowly coming back. He put it out there. I had, obviously, was video of people after session, getting their thoughts, putting it out there to say, yo, like, people are blowing, like, come see me sort of thing. Yeah. So from there, I thought, if I could help, and that's the thing with me, when I coach, for me, is what do you want out of it? Like, I could put on a session for you, but if it's not something you want to do, or it's not going to benefit you, then there's no point putting it on. Do you know what I mean? So before I reach out, or before we get the session, I say to them, what do you want to work on? Do you know what I mean? Whether it's shooting, whether it's dribbling, passing, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I take into account what position they play as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I'm able to create a session for them, one with what they want working with, and then on top of that, it's relevant to you on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? So if you're a centre back, I'm not gonna have you doing shooting. Yeah. We may get into it, but I'm not gonna have you mainly doing shooting, because you wouldn't mainly be a shooter. Do you get what I mean? So slowly just started picking up. The page started picking up. other coaches started getting in touch with me. Other players started getting in touch with me, and then we are where we are now.
What's some of the lessons that you've learned building a brand? The reason why I say that is because we all know right now, one-to-one coaching is a heavily saturated market, especially over the past 6 to 12 months, because it's the only thing that we've been allowed to do during lockdown, but it's something that you've done prior to whole COVID stuff. I know you've had your ups and downs and you're still learning, but what's some of the lessons you've learned along the way so far, building a brand from scratch?
Having like a ethos to the brand. So kind of like a clear message to working with me, or
what is your ethos?
You get in what you put out.
Okay.
It's as simple as straight as that. Do you know what I mean? I tell everyone in their first session, I can't coach you to work hard.
Yeah.
If you're coming to see me, prepare for it. Do you know what I mean? Because
you say you get in what you put out.
You get in what you put out. I can't put in the session. You put in 50%. That's not gonna do nothing for you. Do you know what I mean?
Or you get out what you put in.
You get out what you you get out what you put in. Say. Oh my god, man, switched up my whole ethos. Everyone that knows who coaches know what I mean, innit? I'm tongue twisted right now. You get out what you put in.
Yeah.
Get out what you put in. There we go. Cool. So with branding, it's more of a reputation you've got.
Yeah.
So if you're passing on, or if you're doing a session and whatever that person feels about the session, if he's then to go and promote it, someone's going to go to him, what's this session like? From the get-go, he's got to be able to give out that good message. That good message comes from his first session with me. Do you know what I mean? So with all the little aspects in terms of just how I prepare and how I plan, that for me is just branding myself. Branding, obviously, finish and touch, but it's what I do within the session that then allows the branding to go out in a positive light. Do you know what I mean? Because people will promote it for promoting's sake, but when you get to speaking, TJ, what's this session like? Like, is it good? Because people are investing their time, they're investing money as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's got to be worth their while. So with branding, it's literally whatever you're doing it to the best of your ability. Obviously, I'm still learning. I don't know every drill in the book. I'm not. Do you know what I mean? So it's literally just when you're putting it out there, you're letting people know, yo, this is serious business. This ain't just one-to-one because I'm bored. This is one-to-one because I'm teaching, I'm learning as well. But at the same time, you're coming to me and you're gonna learn from something. You're gonna learn from this. Do you know what I mean? You could take this. I've had many, even with the page, I put the drills out there. The drills ain't hidden for me. It's to help.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I could easily keep the drills behind. You don't need to see what I'm doing here. Just know that people are working. But I put drills out there because even when I'm getting into contact with people that can't necessarily see me or can't afford to see me, they're saying, yo, like, you see that drill that you put out on the gram? Oh, man, that drill's sick, you know?
Wicked.
You check my WhatsApp now.
Yeah,
this drill's sick. Do you know what I mean? So it's about, with the content that you're putting out there, it's how serious it needs to be for people to respect it. Do you know what I mean? That's the main thing for me. I can't put on a session or coach people and it's not serious, or I'm turning up 15 minutes late, or do you know what I mean? Little things like that. You got to let people know you're serious and what you're doing is serious from the get-go.
Differently, what's this journey taught you about you so far, the one-to-one coaching journey? What's it taught you about you?
What's it taught me about me? Patience. Patience. Not everyone will understand and will get the information you're trying to lead onto them from the get-go. Patience probably been the biggest thing for me, because people turn up late as well. Do you know what I mean? People turn up late as well. Adapting as well. So obviously not everyone's going to be at a level where I think they're going to be at. So how do you change the drill, adapt the drill to them to help them, and then you maybe be able to implement what you wanted to implement from the get-go. Do you know what I mean? So adapting, patience, and just even just like the feedback as well from the sessions, it's really like helped me and built me to challenge or add to drills or challenge myself to put on sessions that will challenge players even harder.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So yeah,
I hear you.
think that's that.
I hear you.
That, yeah.
The term legacy, yeah, you're still mad young. You got a long way to go. It's only the start of your journey and the story that you're telling about yourself. But how would you like your legacy to be shaped, and what would you like people to say about you as an individual?
That's a big question, you know. I haven't thought about that legacy wise. I'd always want to be looked at as someone that helped, supported.
That's a key word for you, isn't it?
For me, it's help. Yeah. For me, it's help. I think help, support, wanting people to strive to be their best is maybe something I'd want my legacy to be based on. Yeah, in a nutshell, I think that, supporting and just obviously it comes under supporting as well, trying to help people to thrive. But I think trying to help.
For the past 40 minutes, you've been speaking about help quite often. For me, your idea about what help is speaks for itself. I fully understand. I respect that wholeheartedly, because in a generation of just very selfish people and in it for themselves, you're a diamond in the dirt, bro. Honestly. What does the future look like for you? What does it look like for you individually in terms of your personal aspirations, but also what does the future of Finishing Touch look like for you?
For me, I've always wanted. So finishing, I start with the coaching first. For me, I've always wanted players to go on and do better than they are when they see me. If that makes sense. So to be better people, better players. But on a coaching scale, I'd say if I really could, I'd want to get my own coaching team, and maybe have a team that plays not necessarily academies, but teams that you can learn from, if that makes sense. So semi-pro teams of their age, or semi-pro teams a year above or 2 years above, just to show them the difference of where they are to where they want to be. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And show them the little things that I've been saying to you when we're training, what you're gonna need, because the players on that side where you want to be at, they've got that in abundance. Do you get what I mean? So maybe if it's a thing where I could get a team, a group of players, aspiring players, to go and play different academies or different teams, just to learn off them. That will be something that I would want to do in the future. Coaching wise, playing wise, I'm not done playing yet. So as high as I could get realistically in the pyramid for playing. That's me.
You got any aspirations outside of football?
Outside of football.
That's how I know your tunnel vision, you know.
Oh, outside of football, I thought about, well, it's inside football, but physio.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because of personal experiences.
Yeah, I thought about maybe being a physio, maybe an agent. That's still in football, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still in football. Yeah. Outside of football, wow. Outside of football.
Brother, you ain't got to force it. It's just football for you.
It's football for me, bro. It's football for me. Nah,
it's always been that.
If it's something outside of football, it will tingle with football. 110%. So it may be like clothing, but it'll be clothing for football. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, outside of football.
Nah, I hear you. I hear you. I fully hear you. We've spoken briefly about and the main topic for me here was just making sure you've got a secure plan B, but that doesn't have to be outside of your preferred industry. You want to have the aspirations of being a footballer. Alright, cool. Plan B is how can I still be in this industry but do something different? And that's the main message I want people to understand is we've grown up with this idea that it's being a footballer or nothing.
Or nothing, man.
You don't realize that it's such a huge industry that you can still earn a good living, still have as much involvement in the actual game as you want it to be, but it's just in a different part of the field. And I'm so happy and glad to see you walk in that path and start to take it seriously, but make it your own. Before we sign off, do me a favor, just shout out your brother for me, because he's the MVP of this conversation.
Hey, shout out my brother Chucky, man.
Large up Chucky, bro.
The real MVP behind myself. Nah, man, that's my guy.
Love, man. Love every time. Where can people find Finish in Touch, bro?
Instagram, 2_ Finish in Touch together. Finish in Touch _ at outlook.com. If you want to book sessions, you can obviously book it through Instagram as well. Just the Instagram.
Again, all that cheesy stuff, we'll make sure to put the links in the descriptions below or above, wherever, all that stuff. I hate doing that part. But anyway, yeah. King, appreciate you, fam.
Aye.
Appreciate you, man.
Pleasure.
Love every single time, fam.
Anytime.
I'm telling you now, do not sleep on him, man. You'll be seeing him in some way, shape, or form, in ways that you, even if you ain't got no mutual friends, don't sleep on him. You'll be seeing them at some point soon. Again, AFC Wembley podcast, episode 5, I think. Yeah, episode 5. Thanks for tuning in.
Listen, I want to big up AFC Wembley on a serious level as well, man, because the environment that I was in to play, I want to big up all the coaches, all the players, because it is a serious team for me. That, like I said, bro, the t-shirts at my house, it will hold a heavy part in my heart. But it's more than a team, and it's family. Do you know what I mean? It's family over there. The coaches. I even remember all my coaches and the coaches I didn't have. Yeah. The MJ, Abdi, Rao, Michael, Gary. I remember all of them, man. So yeah, man, just keep as a team, as an organization, just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing your dad proud as well, bro.
Love, bro. I'll
be honest, man.
Love, bro, man.
Yeah.
And you hear it first, man. We want to make sure that we tell the stories of what we have within our community and friends of the club as well. But he's come from us, man. So it's important that we get Reano, people like Reano on here to make them share their progress and their story and how they grow, growing into grown men now. So yeah, appreciate you, King, again.
No worries.
Boom. Episode 5. Large up. See you guys next week.